Very good afternoon and welcome to the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association's For Teachers' Worth. Tutor is very well aware of the silent but profound contributions of teachers, not just in the classroom, and hence they've embarked on this project. One teacher from each district will be chosen. Today we start off with Ms. Rajwantia Kenzie. She just retired as acting principal of the St. Mary's Government School. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, your teaching career spans just about 40 years.
40 plus years.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
In terms of, well, I started teaching just when tutor came into existence. So immediately I became a member of the association. I normally boast in my district that I may be the only person there with a 4-digit association number. And I started off at the secondary level and then went on to training college and then to primary level, where I've spent most of my years at the primary level.
Growing up, we've always heard that teaching is a vocation. Do you believe it's a vocation? Has it been a calling for you, and how so?
Actually, teaching was not my first love of a career. I actually wanted to go into broadcasting. And, well, at that age, at that time, you were finished with school, so you took the first job, which was not teaching, but it was in the system. I worked in a secondary school as a library assistant, but I taught classes. The principal would organize classes for me. And I realized that persons with the same qualifications as I did were assistant teachers, and I was there, and the salary was just a little bit different. And I said, you know, I could get into teaching, and I did the interview. I got into teaching, and then it grew on me. So I must be honest. As a child, teaching was not my love of a career, but since I entered, I never regretted.
And you've left just recently. What was that feeling to leave, you know, this sector? You said 42 years.
It was emotional. It was sad because of the fact that I left without, as I would call them, without being with my children. I missed having the children around for the last 2 years with the pandemic, and that was the most painful thing of leaving at the time that I left. The school organized a school leaving ceremony for me, more or less, where the children came out. They did a drive-by send-off for me. I saw some of the children, but it was not
not being able to hold them,
and hug them and give them some, you know, last words of encouragement. I did it via message, a video message, but actually being with the children, feeling their energy and you know, just being with them.
You're getting me all teary-eyed, but just
yes.
To find out from you, I mean, you seem to leave at a time when the pandemic, you know, just came in, and you were able to distinguish the difference and the impact of that physical, that human social contact.
Mm-hmm.
What does that human social contact do for the education? Particularly, you're telling me about the infants. Why is that important?
Because as teachers, you don't focus on teaching subjects. You teach people, you develop minds, you develop personalities. So the human contact, it's necessary, it's important. So yes, you teach these subjects and you're with the children online. But I must say that at our school, and well, most schools, we try to maintain that, not the touch, but we are in regular contact with our children and our parents, not on a formal basis, but you call, but I would always be calling parents, chatting, finding out about the children, chatting with the children informally on the phone and stuff. You need that being
part
absent.
of the learning process.
Yes, it is. It is. It really is.
What are some of the highlights of your career?
Being able to speak into the lives of children and take them from a place of not having confidence in themselves and see them bloom and see them blossom and see them, be able to stand up and show skills, not just do well with the books, but show skills that, you would have impacted in their lives.
And when you say things like that, the way you as a teacher would have impacted in lives, do any students come to mind? Any lives change, dramatically?
Yes, I remember. Many. Remember, you're looking at a career of 40 plus years, so it's difficult to actually pinpoint. But I remember there was, one young man throughout the school, probably from infants come right up, he was what would be considered, a little challenge, discipline-wise and settling down. And there were actually some teachers who really couldn't handle him for whatever reason, different personalities, and he really was difficult. And I got him at standard 3. And he wasn't doing any work. He had ability, but he wasn't doing any work because of so many other issues, family and all of that. And I got him at standard 3, and I was able to work along with the mother. I got the mother, involved, very much involved, very much involved. And he was able, when he did SCA, to come from a place of not doing anything, and he would have scored probably almost 60 something percent, and went off to school at the mother. He was pleased with and proud of going there. And even I saw him, he wrote an exam already. I saw him somewhere, I didn't recognize him, but he ran up to me, and the first thing he told me is, "Miss, you know how many subjects I got?" And he shared, and again, I still saw him, and I said, "Well, you don't stop there." And he said, "Yes, miss, I'm going to do this and that and that." And,
individual lives change.
Yes, yes.
Such is the impact of teaching. What about funny experiences in the classroom?
So many too. I remember as a young teacher, I always share this when we meet, teachers meet. I remember as a young teacher, and an incident occurred. It is funny, but it also impacted on me that as teachers, we have to be mindful of how we pose questions to our students, that we don't take anything for granted when we question them. So I was doing letter sounds, In those days, you would go outdoors, under the trees and whatever, so we were doing the letter R. So I am there making and, rat and road, and so it was a class of like standard 4 students, so they were challenged with their learning. So I have them in a circle, and I'm asking, okay, give me some words with the R sound. And well, I got some, but then to speed it up, I stopped saying, give me some words, and I said, okay, tell me something that makes the R sound. And I pointed to this young man, and he told me lawnmower. It was funny. I didn't laugh at him. Correct. It was funny, but it impacted on me. Listen, we have to be careful when we question children in the classroom, because we may say one thing, they may hear something else. Yes. Yeah. So that has stuck, and that happened over 30 years ago.
And it's still a story that you tell.
It stayed right here.
Up until today. How will you be, now that you've exited education, how will you be spending your time? Actually,
how I have been spending my time, I've exited the formal system, but I'm still in education. I have learned to, I'm teaching, helping students online. So I still deal with the children of the school. I'm helping some of them online. and I'm still a member of the school's PTA. So I have not left the school per se. I'm just out of the system formally.
And
so I'm still in
you
there.
see yourself being there?
Yeah, for a while. I haven't cut ties. I don't know when I will cut ties with the children. And because my school is in a rural area, I have a passion. Maybe because I came from a rural area myself. And teachers impacted on my life for where we have reached and what I've become.
What is different between rural and urban areas and education and the way you teach and so on?
Not so much the way you teach, but the children that we deal with in the rural communities, a lot of them are deprived, or they have socioeconomic challenges. So I could speak of the area that I work in. You have a lot of children. Some people have no internet, no devices, no food. Because when we just started this pandemic, I would have, gotten together with some members of staff, and we would have gone into our pockets and visited families, and so some children they have the ability, but because of other circumstances, they are severely challenged. So the rural area, I feel you have children face more with that kind of thing than probably the urban areas. The opportunities for, I would say, advancement or to get the experiences, because education is based on experiences. You go into the classroom, they look at your previous knowledge of whatever you're going to do. The rural children, some of they're limited in their exposure and experiences. And the teachers of schools in those areas, they stretch a little more to try to provide for those children. I have a quotation that I normally would say at our school. I say, our children can't go to the town, or they don't get the town experiences or the experiences as the town children. So we bring the town children to them. So you find in our school, we have a very active pan side. We would have been, we would have placed second in junior panorama for quite a number of years, coming from a rural area like, Moruga. So we said our children don't have the experiences of the town children, but we bring the town to the children. Yeah,
bring those experiences
to
them.
Bring
so
it to them.
As we close, and as you reflect on your career, your advice to young teachers now entering the service and so on?
Love what you do. And again, it reminds me, you would hear me refer to, I often say, because as I told you, I like to talk, so I share. So when I chat with other teachers, even as an administrator, one of the things I would chat with teachers and tell them is, when you are in the classroom, you teach the children, you deal with the children as if they are your own. And I would often encourage them, when you are reflecting, when you are doing your reflection or your introspection, would you have liked your child to be in your class? If the answer to that is yes, then you're okay. If you have to stumble before you answer, or you have to ponder before you answer, then you need to do some introspection and some changing. So love what you do, love the children, teach children and not subjects.
Love what you do and love children. Ms. Rajwantia Kenzie, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of A Teacher's Worth. Join us, please subscribe to Tutor's page, and join us for another edition coming to you soon.